The House GOP's tax reform plan cleared committee today, but then the Senate GOP released its own tax plan also today. That plan would preserve the estate tax, totally eliminate state and local tax deductions, and feature more overall tax brackets. Is the plan better or worse than the House plan? Does it change the priorities set out in the first one? Will it become law? Senator Tom Cotton is a Republican from Arkansas, of course, and he joins us tonight. Senator, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Tucker.
So I think a lot of people are confused, want to believe it's a good thing, but are confused as to what the core point is. If you could name one, is it to increase the number of jobs? Is it to increase corporate profits? Is it to increase GDP? What's the main point of this?
Tucker, to me, tax legislation is about putting more money in the pockets of America's working families and our businesses. Ultimately, that creates more economic growth, which creates more jobs, and especially higher wages for working-class Americans. So the Senate bill that was released today, I would say, is just different from the House bill. That's the way our system's supposed to work. The House and the Senate have different perspectives. We'll both pass the bill, hopefully, and then we'll resolve our differences. I think, though, that the bill will be better, whatever turns out on the particulars, if we do one thing, and that's repeal the individual mandate of Obamacare. That is the most hated part of Obamacare, and it would save $338 billion during the life of this tax bill. That can pay for a lot more tax cuts for our families and our businesses in a fiscally responsible fashion.
So you keep hearing that America's corporate tax rate is really high relative to other countries, and obviously that's true. But the number of companies, percentage, that pay the full rate seems pretty small. And in fact, some companies get, tax subsidies. How would that change? Would the average corporation, do you think, under your plan, pay more or less per year under this?
So what I'd like to see is corporations and businesses of all types engaged in actual engineering to build real products to sell to customers as opposed to tax engineering. So one of our goals here is to reduce the corporate tax rate from the highest in the industrialized world down to 20%, which is also below the average of the industrialized world, but also eliminate a lot of the special interest deductions and loopholes they use to get down below the 35% rate today. I think most companies of all sizes would like that as well. Simply let them focus on the goods and the services that they provide to their customers, as opposed to trying to game the tax system.
So if people stop gaming the tax system, that suggests to me that you would see corporate tax revenues rise.
I think in the long run, you will see revenues to the government rise because you see more economic growth. Again, this is the story of major tax legislation over the course of time. We all know that taxes impact our individual behavior, the decision to buy a home, for instance, or to invest in a green energy car under the Obamacare or under the Obama stimulus. So we all know that behavior changes when you pass tax laws. So what we want to do is pass a tax law that's going to let people make more of their own decisions, keep more of their own money. That generates more economic growth, which ultimately I think will generate more revenue.
Would there still be corporations that pay no effective taxes at all?
I hope not. That's not our goal. Our goal is to simplify the corporate tax code in a way that allows businesses to focus on business, not on taxes.
So you're going to get this line, I'm sure, a lot over the next couple of weeks. Why are you raising my tax? I'm not speaking for myself, but you'll hear this. Why are you raising my taxes but giving Apple, which is approaching $1 trillion market cap, a rate cut?
Well, our goal is to look at across the whole spectrum of the American families and businesses and try to make sure that anywhere on that spectrum, they're getting tax relief. Whether you're a big business, small business, whether you're young and single, whether you're older and you have a big family. That's the focus in terms of getting more money back into everyone's pocket. Again, there's a lot of particulars about this bill, but I think one easy way to do that, and especially one way to make sure that people who are in the working class are not paying higher taxes, is to repeal the Obamacare mandate, because it saves so much money. And it is itself a tax on people who, by definition, are working and working poor.
Last question. Are you going to allow people to continue to deduct their medical expenses?
The Senate bill does allow that deduction to go forward. I think the Senate bill has a lot of reasonable...
What was that about? I don't understand. If you're a Republican, you don't want to penalize people for taking the responsibility themselves, do you?
Well, there's a lot of provision in the Senate bill that I support that maybe will be in the House bill by the time it crosses the House floor. For example, the medical deduction bill or the adoption tax credit. That's why I say this is a first step. It's a good step, but we can make
that. I mean, the Senate. I mean, that's going to stay in, right?
My understanding,
Republicans wouldn't want to discourage adoption.
So my understanding is the House put that back in their bill today. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But I think in the final legislation, you'll see things like the adoption tax credit or the medical deduction, which are not big revenue raisers for the government, but are really vital to the families that depend on them.
Yeah, to the small percentage, but they're real.
Yeah.
Senator, thank you.
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Yeah, good to be on with you.